Hey, what's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze hanging out in the Deceptilab, and today we got a few things to talk about. So we'll see how quickly I get through with some of this stuff because I'm already a little bit upset with the latest controversy today. So I will talk about that in a little bit, but we're gonna take one more look at D-16 and Orion Pax. I've been talking about them for the last couple of weeks, so I ain't gonna go into too much detail. But it is Endurance Week, so you got to talk about that. And I'll talk about my own individual plan for the endurance event. You know, I'm not going for the 5-star this go around, but I'll explain all of that and I'll tell you what I am going to prioritize over this weekend, as well as I also in playtest today we got the G1 for Iron Bison, Kill Bison because Terror's watching, and Lightspeed for you guys on the Autobot side. So we'll take a first look at that. Keep in mind it is not a finished product yet. This is our first time looking at it. I got to play around with it a little bit earlier this afternoon, so we'll talk about that. And I didn't write it into my script, but last week on the Space Ape stream, they were talking about a new mode for events, and so I want to talk about that. I got a couple of screenshots from the actual Space Ape stream last week, and obviously with them streaming on Thursday and me streaming on Wednesday, I didn't get to cover it. I was gonna make a video about it, but I never got around to it, so we'll just talk about it today. And yeah, man, so it should be a good stream. Um, we'll get to all that stuff before we do any of that. Let's get to the newsletter. And let me scroll that up a little bit. All right, so this week's event is not called the Big Broadcast. That was last week's event. This week's event is called Origins. It is, of course, week 8 of the saga is the Endurance Week. And obviously, some of the big prize is going to be that 5-star Orion Pax and D-16 for anybody that's on that alliance that gets 3.5 million points. 1.5 is always for the 4-star version. And you just get, you know, your typical prizes that you see in the endurance, your G metal and gold power cores, total shard, total spark. There's a bunch of different prizes in there. So that's the prize chart. Typical battle zones. And we got a couple of winners from the survey. So congrats to all those guys. Still Dread is one of I don't know if he's in here right now, but honestly, he's one of my really good friends. So shout out to him for winning and being one of the winners for the 5-star shards. They're talking about the new bots a little bit. You can actually see the icon for the bot ability. Obviously, we looked at that a lot over the past 2 weeks, but I'll show it again here in a little bit. And it's got that ability 11, excuse me. But it's saying mark buildings that are destroyed. After X amount of seconds, they'll grant a life steal, so pretty cool ability. G1 is going to increase the healing. When you use the ability, you also become invisible. I wasn't able to get that to work last week, so we'll see if that's working this week on my test account. Alright, I'm actually going to come back to, I'm going to come back to that. I'm not even going to read that because I'm pissed off about it. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Lightspeed and Ironbison, like I already mentioned, they're coming in Legacy. They had a massive rework. It's going really, really well. If you guys hadn't seen my streams about that, I'll talk about it a little bit today. But if you hadn't seen my streams about that already, go back and watch that. And make sure that you subscribe because you don't want to miss stuff like that, man. That's going to be pretty good. And I might actually have plans for him depending on how it turns out for my war team. So we'll take a look at the G1 here in a bit, and we'll see what you guys think about that as well. Make sure you check out all of your official content creators. So that'll be myself, Soldier, and of course Sunstreaker Waza. And make sure you guys check out all your unofficial content creators as well. You got a bunch of them in the chat making really, really good content. So check all of your guys out, all your YouTubers. Saga schedule, like we said, is the endurance event. And community corner, man, that's a really I like that picture. They got a scourge there. Sailor Moon Dusk is our motto. Sailor Moon Dusk always putting some nice artwork together and for the newsletter. So shout out to them for that. And this week is the staff picking out their favorite bots again. Days pick Minerva. Not a bad choice at all. And they still got that same list of bug fixes that they're looking at. Um, so no new fixes and improvements this week. Space Apes got their team stream scheduled for the 5th of September, and that's all the news we got for this week. So I skipped over something for a bit, and I'm gonna go back to it. And the part of it was is that so they're doing a sale for the endurance bot this go around, which honestly I have no problem with that. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea to go and give people options to where they can still pay for content without actually having to grind out those endurance events. It's been a while since I did one, but those are some grindy events, right? So this is what Space Ape did. So earlier today, for those of us who were in the members of the Unicron chat said, Dale came in there and he's like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this? We might sell the endurance, but teams thinking, it could be about 150." And almost all of us at the same time said, "Yeah, that's a little bit too high." You had a couple people that was like 50. I think that's probably too low. A lot of people saying 50 to 75, but I think the general consensus, and some of y'all were there. I know Trax was there. Um, a couple of other guys that watch this channel that I know were already in the chat were there. And I think the consensus is probably about 100 is fine. So we started making the argument for 100 and say, look, just the bot. Like, we don't need any other bells and whistles and stuff, just the bot. And I don't even know if maybe it was an hour or two later, Dale came back and said, so clearly they were trying to get this together so they could put it in the newsletter. And about an hour or two later, we got another ping saying, yeah, it's going to be 150, and this is what you'll get. You'll get the 5-star bot. You'll get 150 regular spark, and it says here gold G metal. They're going to give you a gold G1. And I'm gonna flip back over to the lab for a second because I can't keep looking at that. That's going to piss me off. But when I start to look at certain things with the economy, and I actually took a lot of notes, so I'm actually going to scroll down and look at those real quick. Even though I'm fully aware of what I want to say on this topic. So it's a lot of things that just led up to this that just kind of just made the whole situation with the endurance bot worse. And the first thing is, as a matter of fact, I ain't even gonna do that. Let's put the bot on the screen while we talking about it. That makes more sense. But when I look at cost for something, right? And some of you guys that have completed an endurance event, let me know in the chat exactly how much you usually spend on endurance. And the reason why I bring that up is because I lost my cursor. Oh, there goes my cursor. That's not what I was trying to do. But alright. For some reason my cursor will not show up on this screen. Let me back out for a second. Alright. So yeah, this is gonna be our new bot here. But how much do you actually spend on endurance? Because for me, I know a lot of people just go in right away and they just go buy the $100 bundle and then they're just set. They're just that's how much they are spending on their endurance. But it really depends on how you play the game. Because for me, you know, I take breaks. I stop and get something to eat, and I say, hey, I might go buy them the bundles $20 at a time. I might start off with $40, and I'll just play. And then when I've used the coins for that, I might go on and take a break, let the cells recharge, come back, buy another bundle, start it all over again. The last couple of times I did endurance, it cost me maybe about $60, and well, last time I think it cost me 80 because I just, I'm kind of event player that I just want to get the stuff done fast, right? So cool, not a problem. Now my issue is this: when you go and tell me that this thing is gonna be $150, and I mean the bot's good, it's decent, it's not, it's just I don't, I really don't get that. I don't get how that turned into $150 bot. So let me look at a list of some of the things that led up to this point. So we started off. Okay, there we go. So we started off with last week. There was a code for you to go into the store and for you to go in and go get your discount. And this is at least the second time that I've noticed it a week before endurance. They try to generate some more sales by saying, hey, you can get this stuff. You can either get it half off, or I forgot what it was last week. I don't want to say it was like 20 or 25% or something like that. But, you can go get a discounted rate on anything in the store using this code. I felt like that probably could have been better used this week, but I do understand. It's like, hey, if folks want to go buy this stuff at a cheaper cost and then pay full cost during the endurance event, which is usually a big revenue driver, got it. Not a problem with that. But then last week on the stream, they explained something about the new feature that's coming to the game, which I'll show you in a bit. And they were talking about Mayhem mode. And what Mayhem mode is essentially going to be is it's going to be a way that's supposed to make us play. Uh, you'll spend less time on events, the way that they're describing it. And I'll go through all of that here in a few minutes. But so you just did that. So I asked a question in the Unicron chat when I was like, well, if you're going to start selling these things and the events, so you're going to start doing less playtime, I said, shouldn't you balance the cost around that? I don't think I got a response because eventually I got frustrated and, just closed Discord for the rest of the day. But, so I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Now I'm starting to look at the store, and when we had to wait around for the weapons came out, and then the weapons were $150. You got a couple other items with it, but it wasn't stuff that you couldn't earn in game. So I'm just looking around, and I was like, and all of it seems to revolve around the fact that they added this external store. Since they added this store, it seems like every time something goes in there, it's $150. And then they took the weapons again, and let's look at these weapons real quick, because they went in there and they made these weapons. Actually, give me a second, because I think that I left something open that I didn't mean to. Okay, there we go. And I didn't mean to do that. And and this just crashed on me. Give me a second. I'm gonna hit my be right back screen for a second, because my studio software is freaking out. So give me a moment and I will resume. Alright, now it's booting back up. And while I'm waiting on it to boot up, let me take a look in the chat. because I want to see what people are actually spending on this stuff. Yeah, you know, we got a couple people saying that $50 is fine. 150 is not. Tony B says 660 will get you a 5 star. Esclo Hasi says that 50 is what you spend on an endurance event, so 75 to 100 if you didn't want to play. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, for me, my time is what becomes more valuable. And so I've spent as much as 80, but that's my cap is at 80 because I don't want to have to go grind through the free to play portion of it. So, and that's my personal choice. You can do it like 50, you can do it with like 60. Trax says, I think Hyro has a translation problem, and all these years he's had the decimal in the wrong place. He meant $15, not 150. But man, I'm just looking at this stuff, and I'm just like, so I was getting ready to go to the weapons. I got off track, so let me go in and go and look at these weapons. Yeah, something's really weird going on with my stuff today. Hold on, let me try to reset because I'm not able to click on really anything today, and it's kind of starting to piss me off. So let me switch back to. All right, so let me try this again. And just give me a second. I'm having some problems with my player for BlueStacks. Huh, that's kind of strange. Alright, so we're going to enter the lab, and I'm going to take a look at these weapons. But I was like, they were overpriced too. I mean, these are in there for $150. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of people. I like Cosmic Rust Blaster. I don't see a whole bunch of people using it. Sword of Balance only goes on one bot. And I will say, I do see people use that Dark Star Saber. So, um, not a problem there. But I was like, it's just not worth. I don't think that's $150 worth of stuff. So if they would have told me 100, I'd have been okay with that. I don't get that. So I won't be buying that. I don't need the endurance bot that badly. I'll just I'm gonna play the event and get some XP for my bots, but that's about it. But end of my rant about that because it's frustrating. Like after all this time of us all the time that we spend on the game, and it just becomes frustrating. So, let me go flip over to the chat and see who all we got in the chat this time. So, I do know, and I actually shut down one of my chat screens. That kind of sucks because actually, like, give me a second. I'm gonna X out of my Earth Wars app for a second because it's acting really crazy. And while we wait, so if you guys didn't catch that when we were looking at when we were looking at the newsletter, one of the parts I skipped over is, and they were talking about it last week, but they actually gave us content creators some 5 star shards to give away, and I'm gonna go ahead and hand those out, and I'm just gonna hand it out to the first 5 people that joined the chat. So I see that Grim Studios was the first person in the chat. So just go ahead and I always tell you guys this after the stream. just reach out to me. I'll tell you how you can go claim your 5-star shards. Um, I believe the way they split it up, they gave me 2,500 to split between as many people as I want. I'm gonna split it 5 ways. So hit me up after the stream, and I will tell you how to get that set up. Let's see, Magic TFEW was second in the chat. So you know, hit me up, and should be easy for him because he's in my alliance with me. No favoritism. He just happened to be he can get there early. So Magic, get yours. Candyman was third in the chat, so you can get your 5-star shards. Tracks and Lou Mega will also get the shards. So hit me up afterwards. I say I know most of you guys that are regulars. You know how to get in contact with me, and yeah. Yeah, this thing is not opening. So I'm trying to get back to my test server. Bear with me because my test server was actually broken earlier today on when I was trying to test my new stuff, and now I can't get it to open at all. But yeah, man, big big blade said, "Bummer, man, almost, man. You was like right behind some of these guys." All right, I'm gonna try to go to that be right back screen. Well, let me see. Let me try to go back to the live stream. Yeah, my blue stack's been acting funny for the past couple of days too. Just bear with me a moment and see if I can get it back running. Uh, uh, uh. Yeah, that kind of sucks, man. But let me see, device manager. But yeah, man, who's all going for the bot this go around? I'm just gonna do 25K this weekend. I got a couple of bots that I'm actually gonna be looking at, trying to just trying to get them just trying to get them up to speed, man. Like I've been having a lot of folks try to walk me through just different bots that I should use. It's usually because you got a bunch of bots. It's like we always talk about that top 15, and that's what really kind of drives everything. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna have to reboot my computer. Um, you know, I thank you for your patience, but I'm probably gonna drop offline for a second. I'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right, so let me know in the chat if you're back with me because like that was weird. I had a problem with this. I had a problem with BlueStacks the other day, and then suddenly, yeah, I don't know. It was real strange. But yeah, nah, I say, yeah. Let me know if you guys can hear me in there. I think I got everything square. Oh, actually, I could actually see myself just then. All right, so that should be cool. It's kind of crazy because I got in here early because of all the, obviously I had a hard drive issue, but that's not a issue anymore. And then I got in, I woke up, I'd be waking up early. I'd be getting up like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I was gonna start making some content while I was having my breakfast. Uh, and then that didn't. That just went kind of weird. So I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, this thing is just really behaving weird. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a look at D-16. And like I said, that's gonna be the next bot that's coming into the endurance event this week. And honestly, like a lot of people will still ask me about them, and I was like, I didn't get too detailed about it because I said I already made like a bunch of content about this stuff already. But I do like the ability. I like the cost. The cost did go up, I believe, because I think it was it 3+0? Was it 3+1 last time? So it went up to 3+2. So it's still not too terrible. Um, but he's gonna deal that damage to the target. Uh, and upon the hit, the weapon splits into four more weapons, targeting nearby defenses or enemy bots. Each weapon places a beacon on its target for 10 seconds to heals allies in a range for 40% of that target's damage per second. So they cleaned up the tooltip a lot. It's actually really wordy, but they cleaned it up so everybody would understand it. All the beacons can heal in tandem with one another. Destroying any beacon will grant nearby allies 15% for 10 seconds. So the lifesteal, as I mentioned earlier, is part of the ability 11. So we'll take a look. I'll just throw them in here. I just kind of got some made up teams in here going. But just take one last look at the ability. And said apologies. I ain't give everybody a shout out this time. I was so between the blue stacks not working right and my rant about this $150 bot. I was just like, man, let me just go on and start. But yeah, it's not a bad ability. Uh, it does depend on you destroying the target, so you got to use it. I do see they got his invisibility working now, so a part of that ability with the G1 is for you to turn invisible for a little bit. So that means he's not going to take the damage that he would otherwise. And it's a really cool bot. I don't think it's a must-have bot, but if you like your support bots, like I love my support bots, and so if you like them too, I mean, he's going to do some really really good work for you. Um, Definitely not upset with anybody this going for the bot. I might be a little bit upset if you just pay $150 for the bot. That's not helping any of us. But if you just playing the event, having a good time, and enjoying your weekend, it's pretty solid. So, but let me know in the chat what you think about this particular bot. And I see Chris Harmon joined us, one of my friends and moderator, and one of my members as well. Does a little bit of everything here. So thanks for joining, Chris. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely a good bot. I'll go back in and take a look at the G1 real quick for those who didn't see it last week. Yeah, so you're getting your increased healing. You're turning D-16 and Orion Pax invisible for a little bit, so you can save some damage there. I mean, overall, it's pretty solid, but um, I started a new job this week, so I probably won't be doing that all day on Friday. That and my son had a football game on Friday afternoon, so I probably won't be. I mean, I not probably. I won't be doing this event in its entirety, but I am gonna go work on a couple of bots that I got cooking in the background, and so I'm actually gonna switch over to my live server here in a bit, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it is that I'm working on and what kind of team that I'm actually trying to build as a result as well. So just let me get connected to my live server and we can take a look at that as well. I think it's always good to talk about strategy when you are going into a larger event. Now, most guys that do all of the endurance events, they've already got their method down. For me, I'm typically looking at certain bots that I need to try to level. And so for me, you know, I'll walk you through what happened. We were having a top war. I was struggling with the first base. I wound up beating the first base, but a little bit more effort than normal. Like I'm basically putting my team together with with duct tape and bubble gum. So it is what it is. And so this is what I've been currently using in war. And I always get the same couple of comments. That's like if I go ask for help on a base, then I'll say, "Hey man, you guys mind taking a look at my replay?" Uh, and I'm thinking tactics. Like I clearly did something wrong to not win this battle. And so, like I told you guys before, Thundercracker, which is Silver Bolt for you guys on the Autobot side, is my build bot popper. I don't have a high level. I did wind up pulling Scully, Skull Crusher. I did wind up pulling him, and which is Warpath for you guys on the Autobot side. I gotta level them. Now, I've never been the kind of player that I actually ever caught up in its entirety. Like I don't have like a bunch of XP laying around. Like I don't have any of that stuff. So this is what I've been using to kill build bots. So, I use my Thundercracker. It takes some time because his ability is 27 seconds long. And I was talking about that last week. I got Junk Heap in there trying to save myself. If I get into a jam, then he's there. Of course, that always comes with the commentary that, hey, you need to go and work on Minerva, Crankcase. People just like, nah, don't use that, so on and so forth. But now, like I've been saying, I think it was 2 weeks ago I was on stream, and now we got a lot of guys that are starting to use uh, exhaust and trailbreaker instead of cutthroat and tracks. So, and it works really well. So I'm actually going to, when I go back to the test server, show that. But obviously, it's a team that it's not terrible. It does need some work, and it is what it is. So what I'm going to be working on through the endurance, and I'm gonna pull up my bots for a second. I'll be trying to work that 5-star Skull Smash I just got. You can see he's in the lab right now. I'll take him out a little bit closer to the event so I don't have to pay as many coins for it because I do get my skips, but I only got like 2 skips left, and I'm gonna use that to take him to. I'll use that to take him past level 60, and so that'll be good there. I I probably won't finish that this week though. I'll probably finish that during the legacy event. All right, so I'm working on him. Like I said, I am working on exhaust. And so he's gonna wind up being my replacement because with his ability 11, his ability 11 actually is that's a nasty ability 11, and because you're gonna be able to help that whole team reflect some damage and have some healing going, it makes him a really suitable replacement for both, essentially for Cutthroat and for Crankcase. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Crankcase out. I'll put Scully in, and then I'll take Cutthroat out and put Exhaust in. And then my third project. Now this isn't as pressing to me because I know how everybody feels about it, but I gotta get Flatline, Minerva for you guys on the Autobot side. I gotta go give him some attention. And unfortunately, I got all of these bots under 60 right now, so I'm gonna have to go do some coining. So I was like, well, I'm gonna use my coins to possibly go make one of my upgrades as opposed to trying to use it all on the event. So I signed up for 25K as my minimum, and I'm just really hunting XP this time more so than prizes. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and we can go back to the test server, and I'll show you what I'm trying to build. But before I do, let me go take a look in the chat. And Trax says, "Am I talking about last war?" Yeah, the war we had against each other. Because so Trax was actually over there with G1, and yeah, I said for whatever reason I was struggling against your guy Buff Dudley, and I did fine after that. I mean, I did drop on the commander base the first time by about a couple of seconds. So yeah, but every time I drop any points, period, yeah, let's be honest. The guys in my team, they start talking about massive reworks for for the war team. Um, which it would be a lot easier to not have to rely on Thundercracker as the outpost. I mean, not outpost popper, but as the Billbot killer. But it does work, and it just takes longer. Yeah, and Tony B says I was able to beat him, but on base 4. So all of you guys' bases were actually really really great. I had my fingers just kind of crossed the entire time I was playing. But one thing about me and in this Transformers Earth Wars game, like once I get mad, because I was mad at Buff Dudley, I was mad at that base. Once I get mad, everything starts clicking really quick. And so for me, once I get to that point, because I'm a really competitive guy, like once I start losing, I kind of hit that no turning back zone where now I'm just on everybody's ass. So, so that's how that worked out. I mean, I wound up pulling like a 260 in that war, but those 40 points I dropped were the 40 points that we lost by. So it is what it is. You hats off to you guys. You guys did great. And I see Callum joined the chat. Callum joined the chat on his day off too, man. Good to see you, Brody. But yeah, man. So uh, that's where we're at with that. And let's see. Unfortunately, when I rebooted my computer, I lost all my notes too. Which, actually, no, I got them. So, all right. So today in playtest, we got a first look at the G1, and here's my caveat. Here's my disclaimer, I should say. Excuse me. This is not the finalized version. This we just got this in test today. But I got my maxed out G Metal and G1 Iron Bison, Kill Bison, because Terror's watching. Power Core. And what they're trying to go for here, at least in the initial thought process, is kind of a Vector Prime type core. But this one's a little bit different. It's a little bit interesting because it actually happens twice per battle. So I was like, man, if that's gonna be the case, I was like, at first I was like, oh man, it's just a vector and it's shorter, but it happens twice, and it happens when you're at 25% health. So you should actually wind up having more health than you would because you're going back 9.5 seconds prior to the point that you got to 25%. So that should be a pretty decent hunk of health, and you're gonna do it twice. Um, for you guys that didn't see it, that's the actual ability up there on the board. I think he's going to be really powerful, man. I, I debate in my head whether or not he's going to be too powerful, but I'm probably going to give him a lot more testing and actually use him in ways that I think that I might use him on my war team. One of the things that we did get in playtest today that's different is he's going to start popping outpost. So now I'm looking at the team that I'm building, and I told you guys I was going to show you that as well. But this is what I'm trying to build with my efforts in the endurance event. Bludgeon's not going anywhere. I don't have headstrong, and even if I do, I would have to carry him all the way up to 70 because I got bludgeon at it's level 70 captain on the live server. Um, I got Blot in here. Knockout I just bought back. And what I'm looking to do is put exhaust in there. Half shell's not going anywhere. He's destroying all the shielded stuff. And then I was like, well, I got some room in here, and I said I can actually put like Acid Storm back in here or something like that, because I won't be trying to use the range of Thundercracker, or I might use a combination of them depending on what I see. Because last week I was talking about how Thundercracker a lot of times I see the Nexus core sitting on like a missile launcher or something like that. So what I end up doing is hitting the build bot with it, destroying the build bot, and also destroying the Nexus core. So it really depends on what I see on the battlefield, but it'll be some version of either Acid Storm or Thundercracker in that case. And then because Scully will actually be Skull Smasher will be the build bot destroyer, and he does quite a bit of damage already. So that's what I'm trying to build. But it kind of makes me wonder, like, especially because I was talking to, I think, Daddy Pig yesterday, and I was like, man, I don't have that G1 core for Block. So I think I've been running them with I think I'm running them like with like a regular, no, I ran them with Quincy's Prime and Barrow for right now. And right now I'm just testing to see what I'm going to do. But I'm wondering, and I'm going to look at some stats here in a bit. I'm wondering if Lightspeed turns out good, if everything that we have currently in playtest, because I'm going to wind up hitting that legacy event anyway, because I'm not going to be finished maxing out these 3 bots that I just mentioned. So I'm already committed to going for the next legacy bot. So then my only concern at that point would be just getting the bots leveled, because I'm already committed to the event. But and I showed it a couple weeks ago on stream, and even though this is an easier base, even when I was going up against some harder bases, when I use exhaust and with good pathing, dude, it's really hard to, especially with the way, if you guys been watching how I play for a while, I use a lot of regen, whether it be through combat bots or through power cores, and it's just hard to get any damage done. I don't even really need Flatline or Minerva that much. Um, so that'll probably be the third thing I try to change on my team, because my healing that I have for my team actually is really, really efficient. And you get exhaust. So Trax made the comment. He says, "Acid is old metal, fire and burning is the new way." I don't disagree with you, and I've been saying for a while that that acid was falling out of the meta. Um, if you guys hadn't noticed, I like having a lot of insurance policies for stuff. Like, if I do, especially when I'm using Skull Smasher, if I go use up too much ability points, I like to use cost. I like to be cost effective, and I know that Acid Storm is cost effective, and I might be able to use them for like an anti heal purpose. But yeah, I do agree. Sea Spray is good for clearing the bottom of places. I do have him available if need be. Um, and and the thing is like a lot of people, when they see me use Acid Storm, and when they see me use Knockout, which is skids for you guys on the Autobot side, I think I'm trying to use Acid. I actually just like to use them to just destroy um, outpost bots faster in a lot of cases. So that's the real reason. Um, Fireline I like for AOE. Like, all of that stuff I just use for specific purposes. It's not even like meta or non-meta related purposes. Like, all of this stuff is generally speaking for healing purposes. And so that's what I'm kind of doing. But what it kind of makes me wonder is, and I want to look at some stats. I said I was going to look at some stats. So I'm looking at my block, which is Rook for you guys on the Autobot side. I actually have him maxed out on the lab server, and not the test server, which is really strange. And I don't think I got enough. Yeah, I ain't got enough 5-star shards for this on test. So let me go get some 5-star shards. Because I want to see what he's going to look like at Captain. Yeah, and Tony B said not a huge fan of Skids. It likes Optimal Optimus for AoE instead. And the thing is, I I don't use my abilities like I use all my abilities, but I try to use them no more than twice on any particular battle. Now, his range is and his damage is great. Man, that's expensive. And if I go commit to already doing a bunch of a bunch of Scully Warpath shots, I'm already gonna be down on ability points, which I'm able to manage pretty easily now that I've actually practiced it. But for me, I like the I like the regen because of the 3 times damage to the walls, to the outpost bots, getting the outpost bots down faster. That's the only reason why I really use knockout, and I like having fire line on the gunner before the range purposes. But that's really about it. And I still didn't go back in there. I'm not even gonna worry about it at this point. I was gonna go back and go get another rank for Blot, but so I got him at level 67 here, war usable. I got him at Sergeant, that's war usable as well. And I'm looking at him at like 43k health. So what I was thinking about doing, and this may or may not work, it depends on how things go. If I do go end up getting this, well, I am going to end up getting this bot and Ironbison. Like I said, Lightspeed for you guys on the Autobot side. Um, he's sitting right now at 45.7k, and I got him at captain right there. So health wise, he'd be comparable. You got a G1. I mean, I may or may not use a G1 when that time comes. We'll see. But if he's going to be popping outpost, what's stopping me from using him as the outpost popper? And he's got that ability. It's going to blind your opponent, so they're not going to be shooting back at you for a time period. That might wind up being something that I would actually use in war. And actually, let me look at him again at 3+2. So he's going to be cheap as well. The only thing I would be losing the hologram, which is why I added that dark saber. That just depending on the situation. So I'm gonna try and see what that looks like. Yeah, Big Blade says he guess he needs an AOE, but I mean you should ideally I like to have two. You should have at least one in there though. I feel like. But I'm just looking at this ability and I'm saying, man, like, you know, granted it's all in a line, but you got a ability is keeping stuff from shooting back at you, and now and I gotta get in range to pop an outpost. But and they said it's gonna pop outpost too. And I looked at him, I said, shoot man, this bot gonna be powerful as hell. So I'm gonna run his ability to that right side. And we've been having some problems in tests with the outpost pop. But yeah, because it didn't do it that time. But if we can get that corrected and get it to do a outpost pop, I think that I think that's like the cherry on top, to be honest with you. So that's going to be the key thing I look for to determine whether or not I want to actually put this dude onto my war team or not. But yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good, man. I think he's going to probably wind up being the best of the legacy batch bots to come out so far. So for you guys that if you get if you get the time and the money to do both the endurance and the legacy, I think that's cool. If you just want to do one or the other, in this case, I'd probably choose the legacy, and I don't always say that for you guys that have been watching for a while. So my boy Chris Truden asked the question: does it bind affect MDS2? It does on playtest. Yeah, like on so I can try to verify to make sure that that is intended. But like the entire time we've been doing it, it it stops everything. And see, every week I get in here and see, I was telling Callum last week. I said every time I get up here and stream, I sell track something. So now he's like he want to do the legacy. I sell track something every week. Oh man, see, my boy J Funk jumped in there. We were actually talking yesterday about some of the processes I was going through, war team wise. Uh, I do get frustrated from time to time with just, hey, is this use these 15 bots or lose type stuff. So we were just talking about that. And so now I see him in the chat, and he was like, "Acid still works just fine." So he's another one of those guys like me that can find the way to use like pretty much any bot that comes out. So it's hilarious to see him in there saying the acid still works just fine. I, ain't- you know, I and don't get me wrong, there are things that I will use from the meta, but I wouldn't say call myself like one of those folks that I become like a meta slave or whatever. And then because I already chase enough stuff, man. And I was like, now I'm trying to chase all the stuff to get all the pieces for the 5-star Predaking when that comes out. And I'm just like, fuck, man. I would rather be using all my stuff 5-star shard wise onto getting some ranks because I got a lot of new bots going into my squads now. So we'll see how it goes. Watch me go max out exhaust and then the 5-star comes out or some shit. I should wait. I should just wait until it's the end of the quarter and see the end of the end of the quarter. Not that far off. We'll probably know something soon, honestly. So we'll see. Oh shit! You know what? I never showed y'all anything about Mayhem mode, so let's talk about that. I'm glad that you said that in the chat. All right, so let me pull up my graphics. All right, so I talked about it briefly. So there's gonna be a new mode in the game, and actually, I need to cut that off. All right, so last week on the Space Ape stream, and this is like a clip from it. Basically, it's going to be a new type of mode for events. Now, they're saying that it's going to be for larger events, right? But if you notice, you see this little bar that they got there on the top. And so the way that this is going to work is that you're going to get additional points for destroying just different parts of the base. So, and I actually got another picture that highlights that better. So that bar is actually giving you additional uh, event points for everything every time you destroy something on the base. So what you'll end up seeing is something like this. So you can see that they're using that flame strike ability by Skylinks, and anytime they use that on anything, you can actually see the event points start to just pile up. And so the way that it's gonna work is if you destroy HQ, it's not, how like right now if you destroy HQ, the entire base, everything just self-destructs. It's not going to do that. So you can destroy the HQ and you'll get the bare minimum points that are going to be held for each zone. So like say I go into like zone 16 and it gives me, you know I want to say it's like 280 event points or something like that. You'll still get that if you destroy the HQ, but now you'll be able to destroy all of the rest of the base and you'll get additional points. And so what you'll see is you'll see something like this. Now the numbers aren't final yet, and I know they can't be final because in this case you'd be coming up on about 1,800 points for one run. I know that's not gonna be able to stick because you could do one full run and get about 9K out of it. So they're gonna have to tweak the values a little bit. But like that 240 that you see on the screen right now, that 240 is just from destroying the HQ. But then you see underneath that it says plus 1560, and that's for you destroying all the rest of the stuff on that base. And so um, it seems interesting. There is going to be one of the things they were talking about is instead of it costing you 5 fuel cells, it'll actually cost 15 fuel cells, which will put you in a position to be able to. I did the math on this stuff, but so you get 15 fuel cells, you'll be able to do about 5 runs because you'll have, excuse me, you'll have 75 fuel cells if you bought the Cyber Pass. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how this turns out. They're looking at trying to do this during the Legacy event. Um, and so it should make events go by much faster. You'll spend less time on screen, and you'll get additional XP for it, and you'll get additional event points for it. They just got to tweak those values, and they got to make it where it's economical too, because my concern would be like if you do it and you make gameplay go screen time. If you do less screen time, uh, you got to set it up in a way that's economic for the game too, so the game still generates revenue. So I don't know how many points they're going to be able to throw at this stuff. Let's see. Candyman says seem like a cybercoin cash grab if you need to use multiple bots. Um, that's one point that a couple people made. And so we'll see how it goes. Like right now, all we know is what Space Ape showed us on the stream. They did say it even during the time of the stream. They gotta adjust some of these values. I'm curious to see what it comes out with. Like me, and it kind of goes along with the same concept like I was saying earlier about them charging for the endurance bot. I don't agree with the price on the endurance bot, but if you tell me that hey, we'll take your money, but we'll still give you the stuff that you're actually looking for, we'll give you the bot that you're looking for, or if you tell me you're gonna reduce my screen time, the reason why I don't complete every event right now is because on the weekend, to be honest with you, I want to go do other stuff besides sit here and play this game, So but when it's really, really worth it, if it's a bot that I really feel like it's justified for the grind, I'll go do the endurance event. But if they do something like this and it works out the way that I think it's gonna work out, I have no problem with just going in there completing events. And I was like, man, even if it was a paid aspect to it, that part I don't know yet, but we should know more in a couple of weeks. Esclarasi says they need to award at least 4 times the normal battle because I can bang out uh, 15 zone 15 battles in 10 to 15 minutes, zone 16 in 15 minutes. If doing if doing I can't read that because of the if doing 5 battles, but they take a lot longer. They take a lot longer than it's useless. Um, so that's a good point. I mean, I know I usually get about 15 battles in, but I don't know. I just the way they described it, I think it's just really going to reduce that screen time. So I think that what I'm saying, if I'm doing one battle and it winds up, and it really depends on what the value is, and they said they're gonna adjust the XP for it as well. So I don't know. We'll see. A lot of times with events, if I got a goal in mind, like if my goal is event completion, like I'm usually only am focused on that. But you know, um, we'll see how it goes. And I see Solar joined us in the chat says for me to buy that bot, I need all the awards I would earn in the event. I think I think when you add $50 to, you know what I'm saying, if we said that the baseline was 100, and a lot of people are saying they can get their they can get their 5 star for 50 or $60, right? So we use 50 or $60 as the baseline, right? And that's not taking into account like power leveling or anything like that. If they saying that's how much they spend on it, you mean to tell me that a gold, not a G metal, but a gold G1 and 150K of Spark is worth $50? I said we have to go find a definitive rate for what currency, like what you consider the rate of cash to in-game currency, because that's crazy to me that just last week we did an event, a 10K event that had 350K Spark in it, and you paying 50 extra dollars if you buy this bot. You know, let's call it 50 extra dollars if you buy this bot to get a gold, not G metal core and 150K Spark. I'm just saying, you getting like 40 40% less more, 60% less more Spark than we got out of a 10K event. That's crazy to me, and I don't like it. I'm not gonna pretend to understand it. I I I, I think that you generate more revenue when you make this stuff reasonable, and it's just some of this stuff ain't been reasonable since they made the external store. And that's what I'm saying. Trax made another good point. What's 150K Spark? It's not a whole lot. Not to anybody, like, you know, we're both top 5 players and stuff like that. You know, top 5 alliance players. And so you look at this stuff, I was like, man, you're not really doing. I mean, I got more than that. I mean, I got like I got bundles up there, up here. That, let me go back to my actual test server. And it's all my test server stuff. But I mean, like, I got all of that just sitting in reserves. Now, I do recognize that other players ain't gonna have that. I just actually just cashed mine in the other day because I was maxing out abilities for 3 different bots. But I was like, yeah, you know, to your point, this is it's not a lot. Like 150K, it's not doing but so much. So that's definitely not worth $50. That and the gold core. I mean, the gold core. You know, the players that are paying $150 for a bot are also paying for a G metal. Now the G metal is going. What's gonna happen is they're gonna have this gold core. They're not gonna want it. They're gonna still go back and go buy the G metal. And they're gonna have to buy chances at it because I've spent 20. And this is my beef with bundles is the rates you that you actually get this stuff back. Because I'll go throw $20 at a bundle that I really want and not get it. And then I'll say, well, I'll try one more time and go spend 20. And I just stopped doing that. Like, that's the reason why I don't have Blots G1. I got tired of trying to get this stuff in bundles and it don't actually come out. But I'll be curious to see who actually just goes in there and buys this bot for $150 knowing that you can go get it. I mean, and my time is valuable. My time, you know, after God and my family, time is one of the most precious things that I have. But I was like, not at like double the cost that I could do it to just play the event. So Fox the Bomb says I don't blame the apes for trying. Daddy Pig says buying a bundle to get a silver core is so annoying. I agree. I mean, even the gold core, I'm just like, dude, like I just want to get a G metal core, and then I think that, granted, chances at stuff are already risky. But once I get to the point that I'm spending like $40, I mean, I've seen guys go spend $100 on cores and not get the core. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, man, that's not right. Cuddy Fox says the only one who buys the bundle are Dinobots and Beast War Predacons. Yeah. Candyman makes the point, the exact point that I was making earlier, and he says for every one person willing to spend 150, there are probably 10 that would have got it for $99, and that is my point. That's this the second rant I went on about it this stream. That's exactly my point. I think that if you would have put it at 100, and you didn't even have to add all the rest of the stuff to it, like I, let's be honest, they never added $50 worth of stuff to this thing. And that's how you can prove it, because you can go look at, you get Spark like almost every day. Now I know that for the mid tier and lower tier players, they always need Spark, and I get that, because especially with Alliance HQ consuming large amounts of Spark and everything else. But you get Spark in so many different ways. Like if they would have came in there, I mean, it was, even if it wasn't Spark, I mean, even if they would have added combat Spark to this thing, I said, okay, that might have covered maybe $10 of the 50. If they would have came up there and they would have put some 5-star shards in there, okay, maybe. But at some point, you got to go look at how much you're charging for other stuff. I mean, go look at some of the. Now we got some of these loyalty chests and everything else. Like, look at how much you're charging for that, and look at how much you're charging for this. You basically saying, I mean, you basically charging more than $100 for the bot that people could go get for 60 by playing the event, and that's crazy. As Clohasi said, he said that's 3/4 of a HQ donation. Talking about the 150K spark. I mean, that's that's a fair perspective to put it in. So I don't I don't know. We'll see. But all right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Hey, thanks for sticking with me through the technical difficulties earlier, and thank you for sticking with me. Period, man. Now I'm like at like 1,030 subs or something like that. So shout out to you guys for keeping me monetized, and I still do plan to continue working on. I already started working on the videos for the tournament. You guys should actually see some stuff for you guys on my Discord. You should start seeing the bot tournament stuff on there and on my actual channel page this week. And then you should start seeing the videos late in this week as well. So I'll see you guys then, and I will see you all on the battlefield. Freezius out.